Billionaire investor Mark Cuban of Shark Tank fame recently gave an interview where he talked about advice for first-time investors. And I thought there were some interesting ideas to pull from this interview for nomad capitalist investors. I'm going to share those with you right now. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, the author of this book and the founder of Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and sometimes even guys like Mark Cuban legally go where you're treated best. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. So, interview with Mark Cuban, I believe on CNBC in the printed format. I'll share with you the question. I'll share with you his answer. There's a lot to it. I'm going to insert my comments as we go. And then I've got some comments of my own about what I would do if I were starting out as an investor, either from scratch or if I'm starting out as a new nomad capitalist investor. So the question is, thanks to apps like Robinhood, there are a lot of first-time investors out there. What advice would you give to a new investor who has $10,000 to invest? Here's what Mark Cuban said. First, if you're trying to invest the money that you have saved, $10,000 you've got saved, what I tell you is pay off your credit cards, because that's 29% interest that you're getting ripped off with every month, and it's hard to save that or to make that as your annual return. So, first things first on that. I've talked, I don't have debt. I think first of all, as a nomad capitalist, if you're doing business internationally, it is perhaps harder to have debt. People call me up and they say, how do I get a loan to buy an apartment in Tbilisi, Georgia, or in Bogota, Colombia? Forget it. You're not going to do it. And even if you could, the interest rates would be ridiculous. So I think that naturally some of the things we talk about here, it's harder and or just prohibitively expensive to get debt. So you stay away from it. You save up. What I think is really important, though, is if you're living the nomad capitalist lifestyle, not as an investor, but you live the lifestyle first. You legally reduce your tax rate. You move your business overseas. You free up a lot of money to where now you can be more of an investor. Listen, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people out there who are making good money. You think, oh, $10,000, that's not very much to start. How many people do you know who make good money? I know people who make multiple six figures. They don't even have 10 grand. And they're not exactly 23 years old. So if you're living the nomadic capitalist lifestyle, let's say you take your tax on your crypto trading or your active business or whatever it is that you're doing to make money, and you go from 45 to 5%. You're going to have a lot easier time, number one, paying off your debt. There's an interesting arbitrage. If you're just leaving your country, there's possibly some ways you can pay off your debt. If you're an American, your student loans faster, and then get to the gravy by lowering from 45 to 5, for example. And what I think the beauty of this lifestyle is you get to have less of the risk. You don't have to go for 100x leverage or really any kind of leverage, because you can, keep a lot more of your money, still pay your bills, invest a lot more, and not worry about the risk of leverage. So I absolutely agree with Mark Cuban on that. He says, number two, make sure you've got a rainy day fund, because who knows when another wave of the pandemic or whatnot will hit you. Again, I think that a lot of people out there don't have a rainy day fund. Why? Especially in good times. They think they're invincible. And so from my perspective, one of the beautiful things about Nomad Capitalist is that you will learn that you've got to be prepared. And I think one of the things that you learn when you go out into some of the countries that we talk about is there's not as much of a safety net. Well, there's not any safety net in some cases. And it's probably not available to you as the person just passing through or just living there. And so I think a lot of people in the Western world today think they're invincible. They think that nothing bad will ever happen. That's a terrible mindset for an investor, just to go in thinking everything's great. I remember being in California and Arizona in 2006. People say, oh, real estate prices don't go down here, as if they just go through the roof at all times. And it didn't take long for those people to be proven really wrong. And so anytime I go somewhere else in the world and I see people saying, oh, prices don't go down here, it's just nowhere to go but up. Anything when that happens, there's a sense of invincibility, which is a problem, which I think is bad as an investor. He says, number three, if you've got money left over after that, that's when you can start to have some fun. Now, I suppose he doesn't mean fun in the sense of, fun, but hopefully you're investing and you're doing it to be successful, not to have fun. This is one thing I've taken issue with some of the people on these, Reddit groups and what have you, where they talk about how, I don't even care if I make my money back. I just want to punish hedge funds. Yeah, said nobody's super successful ever, right? Nobody who becomes wealthy and prosperous in life did so by saying, I'm going to take down everyone else. But he says it's easy to get lost in the hype of Dogecoin, GameStop, or AMC. And I'm not saying don't invest in those companies because they can be good investments, but you've got to know why you're investing. Are you investing because of some video you saw on TikTok, or are you investing from something you saw on YouTube or a friend told you? Those aren't good enough reasons. Now, here's how this connects to Nomad Capitalist and people who are going overseas. So many people who live in their own country, it's like monkey see, monkey do. And I've said before, I lived in the United States, I had a car. Why? Because you have a car. That's what you do. What are you, a bum, a rapscallion, a ne'er-do-well? No, you don't have no, so you have a car. You get a car. And then it's like, oh, I have to have the right car. These are the things that, to me, drive people to make bad financial decisions, right? I remember I had, in a previous business, I had a client, and I flew them in, and we were going to do a big deal, and I picked them up my car, and they're like, this is your car? And they're like, either get a much cheaper car and just, drive like a pickup truck with holes in the floor, like it's just falling apart, or go buy a really nice Mercedes. Don't drive it thinking, it's nice and it's got the leather seat. Don't be in the middle. Now, when you move overseas and you kind of disconnect yourself from your culture, you get to make better decisions where it's like, okay, do I need a car to live in Kuala Lumpur? Do I need a car to live in Bogota? Do I need a car to live in Belgrade? And you get to start making decisions for yourself. And I think that so many people follow the herd, and they don't even realize it sometimes. And then some of those same people try and go overseas, and they go to the exact same places. They go to certain cities in Mexico or certain cities in Thailand or wherever. Now, I'm starting to see people all over the world. Wherever I go, I seem to find people who are checking out even some pretty far-flung cities, which is great. But if everyone just moves to Bangkok, if you like Bangkok, that's great. If you're moving there because everyone else lives there and you're afraid to take a step, or you're afraid to do the research, which is what Mark Cuban talks about, why don't you go find your own stocks and not follow the herd? Then that's a problem, right? You can't be following the herd. And I think that's a very important lesson for Nomad Capitalists, whether you're investing or just living your life. Stop following the herd. And so he says part of the fun in investing is doing the homework, finding out companies, seeing if it's something you agree with and believe in. It's the same thing. This stuff takes time. One thing I'll talk to people about frequently when they're, let's say, living in the US, the UK, Australia, they're not sure where to go. We might choose one base to be whether it's a tax residence, they're leaving their country, they need to set up a tax home somewhere else in a low tax jurisdiction, or they just want to have a base where they can, rent an apartment or buy a house. And, let's say it's Portugal, for example. A number of people like Portugal. Okay, let's get something set up in Portugal. Let's commit to X number of months a year there. And then let's do a period of exploration the rest of the year where I'm going to recommend 8 places. And you're going to go through those at whatever pace you want. Could be 2 weeks, a month, 3 weeks, whatever it is. And then you're going to figure out, okay, if I want 2 bases, what's the best of the 8? If I want 3 bases, what are the 2 that I like the best to pair with the one I already have, right? What are the places that I want to go to? And it's a period of exploration, which takes time, right? Now, we can get infrastructure set up. We can get your second passport going. You can get your banking going. You can get your taxes going. You can get your foreign corporations going. But when it comes to living, this stuff may take some time. If you haven't been outside of your country very much, then you're going to have to go and probably do some exploration, right? Or you're going to have to go somewhere for a year or 2, and then if you hate it, pick somewhere else. So this stuff takes time. Not everyone wants to put in the time. It's a process to say, for the next year of my life, I'm going to explore, or the next 2 years of my life, I'm going to explore. But I think that's important. Now, those are my takeaways from Mark Cuban. What would I say if someone asked me how to start investing? What I think is really important when you're trying to make any decision is radical self-awareness. And so I would ask myself, okay, Mark Cuban, or now Andrew Henderson, you've got $10,000, you're a new investor. I consider my risk profile. Everyone has a different perspective on what an investment is. Everyone has a different perspective on what kind of risks they're trying to take. I remember I had dinner with a woman once. She called her shoes an investment, or her bags an investment. Like, no, those aren't an investment. But I would say that I would try and analyze what kind of a person I am, and I would figure out, am I an entrepreneur? Am I an investor? I have a great friend. He's a great classic investor. He loves reading charts and graphs and annual reports and digging into everything. I'm not as much into that. Now, I can hire people now to do some of that, and I can read through shortened reports, and I can analyze things. I somewhat more go on my gut, and I have people who do the analytical stuff so I can look at that. When you're first starting out with $10,000, you're not going to hire people to do that analysis for you. You need to learn how to do it. And what I know, having worked with both entrepreneurs and investors, is some people, I have entrepreneurs who they've made millions and millions of dollars, And I'm like, oh, how is it invested? They're like, it's not. It's in the bank because I've been busy and I didn't really know what to do with it. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not an investor. I'm an investor, I'm not an entrepreneur. I've had investors who come in, they're great at crypto trading and swing trading and day trading and all kinds of things like that, or stock picking. But every time they say, hey, every time I try to start a business, it fails. I'm not a good entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with that. And so what I would figure out is if I could start a business with $10,000, how do I do that? Because that could be an incredibly high return. It's going to be a lot more work potentially in terms of ongoing management of that business. But if I'm more of the entrepreneur type, if I'm more of an emotive person, if I have a lot of great ideas, if I like to get my hands dirty, what kind of business can I start? One thing as I sit here in Serbia, for example, there's a great website we've mentioned called City Expert where they sell real estate. Beautiful website. They do a great job, probably one of the best that I've ever seen, if not the best in the emerging world. Now, we recently helped someone buy a property in Serbia. They had seen properties on that website that is designed for more of a foreigner audience or people who just want the best. We found them something, and I think we saved them like 30,000 euros, and they got a bigger property. So I'm not saying it's the best place to find a property. It's the best place to find a beautiful property and to have it done seamlessly. But imagine you've got $10,000, you're young, you want to move to an emerging market, you want to find something to do. Why not move to a market that doesn't have something like that and create it? You're probably going to have some costs. Maybe you need to hire someone to help you. It's not going to cost you nearly as much as it would where you're from probably. And you could turn that into a business and you could turn that into consistent cash flow that you control. If you're more of the investor type, what is it you want to invest in? And so I think that's what I would say. If I'm starting out as a nomad capitalist with some money, I'm going to find my skills, I'm going to find the opportunity. I think increasingly opportunities are in other countries precisely because when you're first starting out, you may have radical self-awareness about yourself, but you're not going to entirely understand all the things in the world around you. And so, if I go back to look at myself in business, 20, 21 years old, it's embarrassing, right? I think we all have those moments. And so the bar is going to be lower in some of these markets. It's going to be like you're going to be on training wheels in some markets where you've not got a lot of competition and you can start a business much more effectively. Potentially you can invest much more effectively. And that's why we talk about emerging market investments. And that's why I think it's a very interesting question that Mark Cuban was asked. Because he's in markets that are very competitive. Nothing wrong with that. But if you go to the places where there's lots of opportunity, you can find out how to tap into that, and you have a bit of an arbitrage opportunity where you can get ahead and make more money. So that's what I would do. Those are my thoughts on what Mark Cuban would do. Now I want to hear what you would do. Leave a comment below. Tell me, if you're just starting out investing, what would be your advice? What do you like about what Mark Cuban's saying? What do you not like about it? What do you like about what I'm saying? Leave a comment below. So people ask, Andrew, how do I get the most out of Nomad Capitalist? How do I begin my Nomad Capitalist journey? The first thing people do is they start right where you're at. They watch YouTube, they listen to podcasts, they read articles at nomadcapitalist.com. We've spent years creating thousands of pieces of free content so that you can get the vibe from someone who's actually done this, from someone who's actually been in your shoes. What they'll do next, they'll get a copy of the book. You can find it on Amazon. It costs a few bucks, and while it's not going to give you all the secrets, it's going to, again, give you more of the vibe. You're going to learn a lot of the things that I've learned. You're going to learn some strategies you can employ, and you're going to get a lot further in your journey. From there, if you are the 7 or 8-figure entrepreneur investor, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com. You can click Become a Client. We're pretty busy these days, but we have availability to help a limited number of people who want to create a holistic plan, something that I think is so important. So if you want to do that, go to nomadcapitalist.com, click Become a Client, learn more about how it works and how we can help you.